Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Breakfast with Grace. And this is our 125th anniversary. We're so glad you're here and so glad to have your support as you have in the past. Thank you. Many of you know that I'm Patricia Montgomery, and I am a great-granddaughter of our founder, and I'm chairman of the board. And I think you also know how deeply I feel about the mission of Grace Institute and the women we serve, the women of grace. So I think I'll just have you realize that from past and go quickly into saying things. What I really want to say is I want to give a special thanks to our incredible, hardworking host committee. You made this event possible, and we're so grateful for your commitment. And to my fellow board members, thank you for your steadfast leadership. To our presenting premier leadership sponsors, John J. McDonald and Margaret T. O'Brien Foundation, American Securities, the Capital Group Companies, J. Crew Group, Merrill Lynch, Morgan Stanley, Grace Institute Foundation, and Ted Weschler. Thank you so much for your investment in our work. Your support is vital to our program and the lives changed by it. We've already raised $235,000, and this means a great deal to us. Your generous donations will allow us to continue to serve 200 women. And without further ado, I would now like to introduce our Chief Executive Director, Danae McLeod.
Thank you, Patricia. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Good morning to the people live streaming, and welcome to the people who are meeting us for the first time via this venue. We're so happy to have you. Your generous support and your presence today means so much to us. And many of you are repeat supporters, and we appreciate that so much. I just want to give special thanks to the John J. McDonald and Margaret T. O'Brien Foundation for their steadfast multi-year support of Grace Institute of New York. We're so happy to celebrate our 125th year of service to women in New York City today. Many of them are here with us today, representing years, the last few decades of training women and putting them into work. This year, Grace Institute will serve over 200 unemployed and underemployed women through our workforce training programs, and we'll help them gain career ladder jobs. We serve low-income women earning on average $6,000 per year before they join our work, ages 18 to 64, and 85% of them are women of color and 40% are solo parents. We continue to hit our benchmarks of graduating 80% of the women we enroll, placing 75% within 1 year of graduation in a job, and helping 65% of them retain their professional jobs for their first year of employment. So I just wanted to get the stats in right away. You're probably familiar with those. Some of you have probably memorized them since we say them every year. Because we're doing these a little bit differently this year, and I'm really excited about that. This year, we're going to bring up some of the leaders of our teams who run our work so they can talk about how their teams impact how we recruit women, how we train them, and how we place them in jobs. So I'm excited to introduce my colleague, Margot Boykins, the Director of Participant Engagement, to talk a little bit about what her team does. Margot, please join me.
Good morning. It's so early. Good to see you all. My name is Margot Alexandria, and like Danae said, I'm the Director of Participant Engagement. We are celebrating 125 years at Grace Institute, and that's an impressive legacy. If you live in New York City, in a month or so, we're going to celebrate the marathon. And like the marathon, Grace Institute is very similar. There's preparation, there's an application, there's a training, and then the race begins. Similar to Grace, we also prepare for the training. We have an application, and we prepare for the 10 weeks of training with the women. During this training, we interview the women to make sure that they are a good fit for the program. And during this interview, we learn a lot about them. One of my interviews last year was with a young lady, and when I called her, because we're virtual, there was a lot of noise in the background, so I said, "Are you okay? Where are you located?" And she said, "Margot, I just got off of work at 6:30, and I'm in the subway." And so she got to a quieter place, and we interviewed. I learned during that time that she worked at a supermarket, and she originally had 30 hours, and she was able to beg them for 32.5 hours. Realizing this was not a career path, she called Grace, and she applied. Well, she attended our training for 10 weeks, and after she finished, she worked with John and his amazing team, and she secured a job at Memorial Sloan Kettering, and she works there today as a patient care coordinator. And I called her to see how she was doing, and I said, I don't want to say her name, but I said to her, a couple of weeks ago, we were in the subway, and we were interviewing for your time at Grace, and now you work at one of the top cancer research hospitals in the world. So I'm excited about my job at Grace. I get to do that all day, every day. The team is amazing. We have partners that help us. And some of those partners are Catholic Charities, the LaFrac Foundation, CSS, and many others. Well, just like a marathon, not everyone finishes the marathon. They close our city down, but some race they don't get across the finish line. And at Grace, some of the women we serve also don't get across the finish line. They struggle with homelessness. Some of them don't have access to technology or Wi-Fi or laptops. We provide as we can. And as proud as we are the women that do graduate, we still have to help the ones that don't. So thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you for supporting Grace Institute for 125 years. And I look forward to the next years. Thank you.
I'm excited to introduce Aisha Pintor. She'll be our first graduate speaker to share her story today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Aisha Pintor, and I currently work as an executive assistant to Dr. Hedvig Resak at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, where I have been working for the past 14 years. I'm here to share my story at Grace Institute. My Grace Institute journey began way back in 2007. I had been working the front desk for an assisted living nonprofit, and then later on at New York Medical College in Valhalla, New York. My sons were 3 and 5 years old when my first husband passed away, and I had to move from the Bronx to live with my mom in Harlem. Later, I met someone new and gave birth to my third child, a daughter. Living in Harlem now made the commute to Westchester challenging, and I left that position. At the time, I felt stuck. Without recent work experience and lacking the computer skills required, I couldn't find a job. I kept applying to jobs, but nothing was coming my way. One day, sitting at home with my daughter, I saw an interview on Channel 7 about Grace Institute. In that news piece, it said, free workforce training for women of all ages with a high school diploma. I figured this would be something that could open more doors for me. I thought I should do this, but I didn't have my high school diploma. So this became my goal. All in all, it took me 6 months to get my GED at City College. As soon as I passed my GED, I made an appointment at Grace Institute, and I was accepted. Now, this was 2008, so we were at the 64th Street campus, and the program back then was 5 months long. The instructors were instrumental in helping me with my interview skills. I remember getting suits from Dress for Success, one of Grace Institute's partner organizations, so I felt prepared. After I graduated, I got the MSK position through a Grace Institute job fair. I applied to all the jobs, including one at NYU Langone, but MSK called me back. I interviewed twice and was offered the position. It was pretty fast. Graduated in January 2008, interviewed at MSK in February, and started working in March. At MSK, I started out as a medical secretary for Dr. Resak, one of her 2 assistants, where I learned a lot of medical terminology around radiology, which was all new to me. I received training, and they were very flexible while my daughter was young in terms of adjusting to my hours so I could take her to school in the morning. Over time, I worked my way up to an administrative assistant, and when the chair's assistant left, I applied for that position, interviewed, and was offered the job in 2018. I even recently got a promotion as program coordinator, and even though I did not have the qualifications for that position, Dr. Resak gave me the opportunity. A good friend of mine at MSK, Tashara Mason, also came out of Grace Institute. I brought her along with me and helped get her an interview there. So Grace women stay connected, including through Facebook and other social media. To this day, I tell everybody about Grace Institute, so much so that my younger cousin went to Grace Institute and graduated about 6 years ago. I loved my time at Grace Institute, I really did. It was like a family. One I remember most was how the women there were all connected as one. Most of us were older women and were all nervous about going back to school. I mean, it's challenging, especially if you're a mom. But it was like a sisterhood at Grace, and we're still connected today. I am truly grateful for my experience at Grace Institute. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Patrick Grays. I'm a board member, and it's my great thrill to introduce our honoree, Cheryl McKissack Daniel. We have spent 125 years trying to get her, and she finally, she kept saying 22, 22, that's her number. So she's a tremendous person. It's rare that you find somebody with such great business accomplishments, high integrity, generous community leader, and the winning personality that she brings. So we're so thrilled to honor you. I'm going to give you a short bio of Cheryl, so you have to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to be going quickly, but Cheryl McKissack Daniel is the president and CEO of McKissack & McKissack, the oldest minority and woman-owned professional design and construction firm in the United States. With more than 30 years of experience in construction, she serves as principal in charge and project executive on numerous high-profile projects, including major work in healthcare, education, transportation, and commercial sectors, and is actively involved in project oversight and management, ensuring that diversity is implemented during each project phase. Under her direction, McKissack & McKissack has contracted more than $50 billion in construction over the past 10 years. That's billion with a B. Cheryl is engaged in some of New York's largest projects, including the new Terminal 1 at JFK, LaGuardia Central Terminal Building redevelopment, Coney Island Hospital campus renovation, Harlem Hospital Center modernization, New York City Economic Development Corporation, Hunts Point Cooperative Market, Fulton Fish Market, and Mart 125 Cultural Center projects, Atlantic Yards, Pacific Park, Long Island Railroad Yard relocation, Columbia University Manhattanville expansion, Henry J. Carter Specialty Hospital and Skilled Nursing Facility, and the Studio Museum in Harlem. She also serves as the MTA Independent Engineer Consultant, overseeing the capital construction program of the nation's largest transportation system. Cheryl serves on numerous boards, including the New York Building Foundation, the New York Building Congress, the New York Women's Forum, and Women's Builders Council, the One New York City Advisory Board, Jobs for New Yorkers Task Force, and the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee for New York State Governor-elect Andrew Cuomo's transition team. Cheryl is also an active member in Women in Transportation. She earned both bachelor and master's degrees in civil engineering from Howard University. Born in Nashville to architect William DeBerry and teacher Latrice McKissack, Cheryl represents the fifth generation of the McKissack family's century-old legacy business. Please join me in welcoming our esteemed 125th anniversary Breakfast with Grace honoree, Cheryl McKissack Daniel.
Yes, sure. I'm transitioning from paper. So bear with me. This is my first time. Thank you so much, Patrick. That was so endearing, and I really appreciate it. And 125 years, my goodness. What a wonderful way to start the morning. It's an honor to take part in a cause that aligns so closely with what I believe and stand behind as a woman business owner. As it was mentioned, the firm McKissack has been in existence for 5 generations, starting with my great-great-grandfather, Moses McKissack I, who was taught the trade of making bricks as a slave. His son, Moses McKissack II, was a master carpenter, and Moses McKissack III became the first Black licensed architect in the United States with his brother, Calvin McKissack. Then, of course, there was my father, William McKissack, assumed the helm of the business as the 4th generation to take over our business. Therefore, after 4 generations of all men, when my mother took over, she was the first woman to manage our business. Thank you for that. I remember when I was pregnant with my first child, and she was with me when I had my ultrasound. The doctor said, "It's a girl." And my mother hollered so loud, "Skirts in power another 50 years. This was just one of her many examples demonstrating my mother's passion for women entrepreneurs, leaders, and business owners. At McKissack, my mom and then me, it is a mission of ours to empower, train, recruit, and hire women with the goal of reaching economic justice in our industry and beyond.
Grace Institute's fundraising efforts are crucial to its success, and I share in their gratitude for your contributions that will ensure that more women reach financial independence, ultimately creating pipelines of prosperity that include training, mentoring, and jobs that set them up for long-term employment. And I think we just heard about that. As we continue to support Grace Institute, let's remember that the work doesn't stop there. Getting a job is one thing, maintaining it is something else, even for those who are qualified. The recession, along with COVID, has made an already tough battle for women even tougher. If we thought it was rough sledding before, now with so many layoffs, unfilled positions, and employees working remotely, it's like sleighing uphill on gravel in Kitten Hills. Studies show women are working longer shifts, and while already doing double and triple duty at home, caring for their home, their children, and oftentimes elderly parents. As employers, we must be cognizant of this developing trend and also be willing to make some necessary adjustments. If we aren't careful, we may see the pool of our most capable, willing, and loyal workers diminish. My charge to all of us is to make sure that we look at women in a holistic way as individuals and not mistake their presence alone for progress. Let's create environments that will help them perform in ways that make them continued assets in the workplace. It is often our nature to try to fill the gap in everything. We make an effort for everything. And we try to do that to make ourselves indispensable, especially when we are insecure about our worth. We are frequently reminded of the importance of checking in with our loved ones these days. The fear is that isolation, illness, and sleep deprivation can have dangerous outcomes. But is that the same kind of love being shown to our employees, co-workers, by bosses and colleagues? According to a study published in Forbes last year, employers are ignoring many signs of mental and physical breakdowns and are requiring more from female employees than they were before the pandemic. Women are 60% more likely to offer emotional support than their male counterparts at work are. If we inadvertently allow women to be stretched so thin that they are losing sleep and dignity, no one wins. Economic justice is a two-way street and requires balance to work properly. It is a setup for success, not failure. We all have to have buy-in for it to work the way it is intended. Because in the end, we all could use a little grace. Thank you again for this amazing honor.
Good morning. I'm Mia Wilson, the Chief Strategy Officer at Grace Institute, and I have the privilege of overseeing our training programs and education staff. In addition to the day-to-day management of all participant training, our team works in close collaboration with our Talent Services Department, as well as our corporate hiring partners, to ensure that we are teaching the most in-demand, relevant, and valuable professional skills needed in today's workforce. The training that we customize for each cohort of Grace Institute's participants in our administrative professional and healthcare administration programs is done with strategic consideration for both the technological and soft skills demand of a swiftly evolving workplace. The pandemic has drastically altered the structure of many of our workplaces. However, for our corporate partners, working across time zones and continents and being able to seamlessly integrate in-person administrative assistance and video and teleconferencing technology has been essential for successful administrative assistance for quite some time. The training at Grace Institute has long been centered around acquisition and fine-tuning of technological skills. What the pandemic has afforded us was the opportunity to ramp up the infusion of new technology into areas of our curriculum and training process so that Grace Institute graduates are not only skilled administrative professionals, but also highly technologically savvy problem solvers, communicators, and leaders. 2022 saw the advent of Grace Institute's first hybrid learning program, which included expanding training hours across both digital and in-person learning environments. In addition to Grace Institute's full-time digital coursework, the hybrid program integrates in-person training blocks where participants navigate real-world workplace simulations in high-pressure, multi-platform, technologically rich environments. Emphasis is placed on utilizing all technologies found in modern workspaces, mastering professional communication, and understanding administrative best practices in real time. This approach has resulted in expanded curricula across both cohorts. Some of the expanded topics include using functions and data validation in Excel, digital project management and tracking, best practices for virtual meetings and video conferencing, CRM such as Salesforce, usage and management, and medical billing and coding standards such as CPT procedural coding and ICD-10 CM diagnostic coding for our healthcare track. When our participants compete for jobs, they have considerable support from not only our dedicated Grace Institute staff, but also our community and corporate partners, many of whom are in this room this morning. Thank you all for being here. But that does not mean that they are held to a different standard than other job seekers. They have to compete at the same level as individuals who may have had significantly greater advantages, resources, experience, or education. What our participants do in a mere 10 weeks is train rigorously to bridge any soft skill and technology gaps that they may be experiencing in order to not just be pretty good candidates, but rather the most competitive candidates in the applicant pools for the jobs they are seeking. And they achieve this in every cohort. And 10 weeks is not a very long amount of time. It's wonderful to be able to share a window into our process with you this morning, and to be able to look out into a room full of fellow supporters and champions of women's advancement. Thank you for being here and for being a part of the journey of hundreds of women this year alone. I now have the privilege of introducing one of our GI alumna, Patricia Santillan. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm happy to be I'm happy to be here with you today to share a little about my Grace Institute journey. Back in January of 2020, just before the onset of the pandemic, I was laid off from my sales job as a nonprofit account executive. I'd always found a job within 6 months in the past, but with the pandemic, things were different. My job search went from 6 months to 2 years. I was used to using my networks, applying to job after job, but this was different. I wasn't getting placed. I couldn't afford the rent and I had to move out of my apartment. I was getting overwhelmed by the entire situation. I started getting really discouraged. I knew I didn't want to go back to sales, and I began looking around for professional training programs that might help me find a new role and jumpstart my new career. Learning about the Grace Institute was like a breath of fresh air. The shorter program meant that I could finish in just 10 weeks instead of months or years. The job placement services and one-on-one support meant that I could help find a new role quickly, and I wanted something that meant that I could help people in the healthcare industry, and it seemed to be expanding, I decided to pursue the patient services representative track. Everything was on Zoom, and those first online sessions were very challenging. I was used to learning in a classroom environment, but the instructors provided plenty of resources to help me feel at ease with the technology. And to this day, I still use my Grace Institute online user guide. My PSR instructor, Miss A, made us understand how different healthcare is. Working with patients comes with the strict rules and regulations around protecting privacy of the patients. For instance, you're dealing with HIPAA rules and using Epic, which is constantly being upgraded. But Grace Institute supported us in so many other ways beyond our classes. We got career coaching, company spotlights with potential employers, converse with confidence practice sessions with the Women's Bond Club, and personalized support job search help from the talent services team. Or if we needed wardrobe for interviews, they connected us with Dress for Success. It was like a 300-degree support system. After I graduated, I worked with Vivian and Matthew on attending job fairs and finding new open positions. Working with Grace Institute staff and through some of my own contacts, I found a front desk opportunity at NYU Langone. Some 3 months after my last interview, I got the call. I joined the Langone staff on January 24th, earlier this year. Today, I work in the financial district on a 5-person team as a secretary and scheduler, supporting 10 doctors working in orthopedics, gynecology, and internal medicine. It's a high-stress, high-volume environment, serving about 300 patients a day. I enjoy resolving patient issues and making people smile. Looking ahead, I want to continue my health administration education and get certified. I also hope to move up in the ranks and work as a practice liaison on the operations team, a role that gauges patient satisfaction. One day at work, a supervisor walked by my desk and saw the cover of my Grace Institute notebook. He said to me, "Oh, the Grace Institute? That's where you got your PSR training? My wife went there." I owe a great deal to Grace Institute. Without it, I would not have the training I needed to succeed in my current role. They gave me the training and the confidence I needed to launch a great new career and transform my life. But what I think I love most about Grace Institute is a sense of sisterhood. Even though we were all on Zoom, we really supported each other, and many of us still keep in touch. I would like to thank my instructors, the Employment Services team, and the Board of Directors, and friends and donors of the Grace Institute for their support in turning my dream into reality. And I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to share my story with you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Another Patricia, for sharing your journey and for being here to support your fellow students. Hello, everyone. My name is Katya Boaza. I'm a proud supporter of the Grace Institute and a board member since 2019. I joined the board as part of my ongoing commitment to support women, and Grace in particular because I wanted to do something closer to home and give back to my local community. It didn't take long for me to realize what an amazing community I have joined. Everyone from the board chair, Patricia, to Patrick Grace, to Danae and the staff, not to mention these amazing alumni, is absolutely committed to help these women, and they do it with a lot of love and passion in every step of the way. I absolutely agree with Patricia's comment. It is a 360 degrees support until we get these women on their feet and on their way to financial freedom. Grace has also become a family affair in my household. My spouse organizes fundraisers through her events. My daughter has volunteered, and she's here today. And we have all become part of this wonderful family. It gives us great joy to see every year the group of women graduate and go on to get better jobs and better lives. It is life-changing indeed when you come in making around $6,000 a year and you leave with a job on average paying $32,000 a year. We cannot do the work we do without your help and your support. To date, we have raised $235,000 from the $300,000 budget of this breakfast. So our goal is to raise here now $65,000, okay? I believe we can do this and we can do more with your support. Giving is one of the most important family values in my family, and I know most of you here share this value. So I ask you to open your hearts and let your wallets follow. It's crucial that we raise $65,000 here so we can continue to serve these women and make a difference in so many of their lives and their family lives. Also, on a personal note, all my predecessors have met their asks before me. This is my first time. So come on, make me look good today. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the two ways that we can give this morning. For those who are here in person, each table have envelopes, pens, and this beautiful white box in the middle to put the envelopes. You can give with a personal check or a credit card. Also, if you're home or you are here and you have a smartphone, you can go to graceinstitute.org/donate. Or if you're watching on your computer at home, you can click through the link below the description, or even open a new window, graceinstitute.org/donate, and make a gift. So I'm going to make a gift, and whoever wants to join me can take their phone. Ladies, this is like shopping online, so it's easy. If you go to graceinstitute.org/donate, you will see on the right side a green here. You click on that. I'm going to slow down a little bit, okay? Okay, now I'm going to put in my name, email, address, you can add a personal note in honor of someone. I'm going to click on the amount. If you choose other, make sure you put an actual amount in that box. You don't need to put a $sign. Okay, and you can also make a recurring monthly donation. We like those as well, so. Okay. I auto-filled, so I was a little faster, but. So when you're done with that page, click on Donate in the bottom. Okay, that will take you to the part where you put your credit card information. And submit. Voila. I'm done. Great. It's not so hard. Okay. I'd like to thank everyone who has worked so hard to get us where we are today. I ask you to join me to support the future of our great city and the great women in it. Our $65,000 goal today is crucial in helping support the ongoing responsive work that Grace Institute does to help another 100,000 women for the next 125 years. On behalf of everyone at Grace, I'd like to thank you for coming this morning in person and virtually. This ends the formal part of our programming. Please continue to have breakfast. Breakfast, and if you are still donating, feel free to add those zeros, okay? I don't want to slow you down. Take your time. Hope to see you all next year. Thank you.